Yesterday afternoon, somewhere in a hotel room at the Mayakoba resort outside Cancun, Marcelo Bielsa was waiting. Not preparing, not giving his pre-match team talk, not running through his tactical setup for tonight's World Cup opener against Saudi Arabia at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Waiting. His squad was waiting too. Darwin Núñez, Rodrigo Bentancur, Federico Valverde, Jose Maria Jimenez. The most technically complete Uruguayan squad in years, a team assembled under one of football's most visionary coaches, a man who has spent his entire career making players better and teams greater than the sum of their parts. All of them, in a hotel in Mexico, because their plane couldn't fly to the United States. That is the sentence at the center of today's story. Uruguay's charter flight from Cancun to Miami, a journey of approximately 2 hours, carrying the squad for a World Cup group stage match scheduled for 6 o'clock this evening, was not authorized to enter the United States. The required documentation for the aircraft was missing or incomplete. The flight sat on the ground. The Uruguayan Football Association issued a statement. It was 4 lines long, and it ended with a sentence that, in the context of everything that has happened around this tournament in the past 2 weeks, carries more weight than any press release FIFA has produced. Due to problems beyond the control of the AUF, the departure from Mexico has been delayed. The squad is resting at the hotel. The new departure time set by FIFA is 4:15 p.m. The AUF spokesman told The Athletic something even more direct. Asked who was responsible for the delay, he said, FIFA. Not the airline, not the Uruguayan Federation, not an administrative oversight by a junior official somewhere in the chain. FIFA. This is the 2026 World Cup on June 15th, and this is where we are. Let's go through the full story because it deserves proper examination and because it is one part of a pattern that this tournament has been building toward with every passing day. Romain Molina broke the story first. He is a journalist who worked for the New York Times, BBC, and multiple major international outlets. He posted on social media yesterday evening, "New catastrophe in terms of organization. Uruguay's plane has not been authorized to join the United States due to administrative problems. Certain documents are visibly missing while they play tomorrow in Miami against Saudi Arabia." The word he used in French was catastrophe, not problem, not delay, catastrophe. Within hours, Yahoo Sports, The Mirror, Kel Now, and HITC had all confirmed the story independently. Uruguay was stranded in Cancun. Their scheduled press conference on Sunday, at which Bielsa and Jose Maria Jimenez were due to speak, could not take place. If it didn't take place, the AUF faced sanctions from FIFA for missing official media obligations. The logic of that situation deserves a moment. FIFA's logistics failed to get Uruguay's plane into the United States, and FIFA's regulations could then punish Uruguay for missing the press conference that FIFA's own logistical failure caused them to miss. The organization responsible for the problem also holds the power to penalize the victim of it. FIFA, for their part, said something. They said the issue was a technical problem with the plane, not a documentation problem, not an authorization failure. A technical problem with the plane. The AUF said it was FIFA's responsibility. FIFA said it was a technical problem. The plane stayed on the ground in Cancun while 2 competing explanations were offered, and a World Cup squad sat in a hotel room the night before their first group stage match. Uruguay eventually flew. They landed in Miami. The match is scheduled tonight. But the press conference was missed, the preparation schedule was disrupted, and Marcelo Bielsa, who has spoken publicly and specifically about the logistical difficulties of the United States as a tournament host, will walk into Hard Rock Stadium tonight against Saudi Arabia, carrying a frustration that has nothing to do with football. Now here's where this story opens into something larger, because Uruguay's plane wasn't the only travel story from yesterday.
Palestinian Football Association President Jibril Rajoub announced publicly that he was still waiting to be admitted to the United States. The Palestinian Football Association is a member of FIFA. Rajoub has FIFA accreditation. He has official business at the tournament, and as of yesterday's reporting, he had not been granted entry.
This comes after Omar Artan, FIFA's selected referee, was denied entry after 11 hours of questioning, after Thomas Partey, Ghana's vice-captain, was denied entry to Canada, after Iran's squad spent weeks in Tijuana before their first match at SoFi Stadium, after 2 Iraqi players faced visa processing complications, after Breel Embolo of Switzerland had a technical visa issue, after Wadensky Pierre of Haiti encountered entry difficulties. That is a list, a documented, verified, publicly reported list, each incident confirmed by multiple sources. Not a conspiracy, not an exaggeration, a list. And Uruguay's plane is the latest entry on it. What makes Uruguay's case specifically significant is who is on that plane. This is not a lesser-ranked team or a debutante nation from a confederation with limited resources and administrative support. This is Uruguay, a country that has won the World Cup twice, that invented football in South America, that has one of the most storied football traditions of any nation on earth, that is in Group H with Spain, Saudi Arabia, and Cape Verde, that is expected, with Darwin Núñez and Rodrigo Bentancur and Federico Valverde, to be a serious knockout contender. And their charter flight couldn't get authorization to fly from Cancun to Miami. There is a Bielsa dimension to this that deserves specific attention, because the coach now sitting in a hotel room in Cancun has spoken about this before. In 2024, when Uruguay participated in the Copa America, also held in the United States, Bielsa publicly criticized the organization of that tournament. He specifically raised concerns about travel logistics, about the distances teams were required to cover, about the inadequacy of planning for a competition spread across multiple U.S. cities. He was not diplomatic about it. He was direct, as Bielsa always is. Now he is at the World Cup, in the United States, and his plane cannot get documentation to cross the border the night before his team's opening match. The State Department, asked about the Uruguay situation, pointed to its standing position. It said it is weighing each World Cup visa case on its own, after rigorous vetting, and that it will not bend on U.S. law or national security. The AUF is on the U.S. immigration visa pause list, one of multiple South American nations whose nationals face additional scrutiny for travel documents. The CFR noted that Uruguay is on this list, though it technically only applies to immigration visas rather than tourist visas, meaning Uruguayan fans and officials should, in principle, be able to obtain visitor visas with additional scrutiny. In principle, the plane sat in Cancun. Let's now look at where this leaves the tournament overall, because individual incidents only tell part of the story. The pattern tells the rest. When this tournament was awarded to North America, the co-hosting arrangement, across 3 countries with different immigration systems, different documentary requirements, and different relationships with visiting nations, was described as a logistical triumph. 3 football cultures, existing world-class stadiums, a combined infrastructure that would make this the most accessible, most efficiently delivered World Cup in history. What the first 5 days of the tournament have actually produced is a running list of access failures that crosses every category of participant: players, officials, federation presidents, team planes. The FIFA statement used across all of these incidents, "We are not involved in the host country's immigration processes," is not sufficient as an explanation for Uruguay's plane. The AUF said FIFA was responsible. FIFA said it was a technical problem with the aircraft. Those 2 accounts cannot both be accurate. One of them is wrong. And the federation whose squad was stranded in Cancun the night before their World Cup opener is saying it was FIFA's problem. FIFA has not published a detailed account of what actually went wrong with Uruguay's flight authorization. The plane flew eventually, the squad arrived, the match will be played tonight, and FIFA will hope, as it has hoped with every access incident since the tournament began, that the football will be good enough to push the story to the margins. The football tonight, between Uruguay and Saudi Arabia at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, will probably be very good. Bielsa's teams always are. Darwin Núñez will be dangerous, Federico Valverde will control the midfield. Saudi Arabia, under their new coach, have some interesting tactical structures that Bielsa will have studied carefully. The 90 minutes will be the 90 minutes, the football will be the football. But Bielsa spent Sunday in a hotel in Cancun. Jibril Rajoub was still waiting to be admitted to the country. Omar Artan's full tournament fee is being paid because FIFA gave him the money rather than fighting for his place in the tournament. Thomas Partey is eligible from Ghana's second match after Canada rejected his visa. The list is not getting shorter. It is getting longer, every day. At a tournament the organization running it spent years telling us would be the most inclusive in the sport's history. Fernando Palomo, ESPN's lead commentator, said this week they are squeezing the cow so hard they're going to leave it with no milk. He was talking about commercialization, but the metaphor extends. A tournament that cannot get its own national teams into the host country on time, that cannot protect the referee it selected from being turned away at an airport, that cannot guarantee the Palestinian Football Association president can attend the event he is officially accredited for. That is not just squeezing the cow. That is a different kind of problem entirely. It's a problem of organization, of coordination, of responsibility, of the willingness to say, when FIFA's own logistics fail, that FIFA is responsible, rather than reaching for the same 5-word statement it has used from the beginning. We are not involved. But they are involved. The AUF said so. Romain Molina reported it. Every qualified person who has been blocked, delayed, turned away, or stranded has been doing so within a tournament that FIFA built, manages, and collects $11 billion from. You cannot collect the money and be not involved in the consequences. Here's what I want to know from you. We're 6 days into the biggest World Cup in history. The football has been good, the controversies have been relentless, and tonight Uruguay plays Saudi Arabia at the stadium that couldn't receive them yesterday. Does the Uruguay story, specifically the AUF blaming FIFA and FIFA offering a different explanation, change how you see the organization's accountability for what's happening around this tournament? And do you think Bielsa's Uruguay, after everything yesterday, can still win tonight? Leave it in the comments. Both questions. I want to know what you think.